San Diego where we have the colleges and Salk Institute, all these innovations coming down the pipeline, and now I'm up here in the Stockton area, and looking at in the Auburn area and the Colfax area, and I'm thinking, hey, I'm a senior, and I got all these doctor's appointments, and how far do I got to go if I just have a normal doctor's appointment? How far do I got to go if I need some kind of heart transplant or something? So I understand what you're saying. I'm looking into it, and I'm looking for everything from the newborns to the seniors and everybody in between. There's got to be a better way that Americans can take care of Americans. Americans first, as far as I'm concerned, and then we should be able to take care of everybody else if they deserve to be here. Thank you very much.
Okay, Congressman Harder. Same question. Do you need it repeated?
I think I got it. Thank you. Ultimately, I got into public service because of healthcare. My brother David was born 10 weeks premature, spent the first 2 years of his life in and out of the hospital, had all these tubes that were connected to him when I saw him for the first time ever, and had a healthcare bill that was 104 pages long when he got out of the hospital. And so I made it my mission to make sure that we fight for affordable and accessible care. Last year, we saw the biggest cut to healthcare in our nation's recent history, $1 trillion cut to Medicaid, also to folks that are getting insurance on the Affordable Care Act exchanges. Just in San Joaquin County, that has led to our uninsured rate already skyrocketing. Certain hospitals have closed to new patients already, and unfortunately, the worst is yet to come. As I said, 50,000 folks estimated to lose health insurance just in our county, 1,000 nurses and doctors that will be laid off, again, just in San Joaquin County, in an area where we don't have enough nurses and doctors. And of course, we've already seen premiums double at a time when folks do not want to see their premiums go any higher than they already are. What we need to do is we need to reverse those cuts. They are doing nothing to make our healthcare system better. It is hurting our economy. It is hurting our patients. It's hurting the doctors and nurses that provide that care. And then also, we have to move beyond just reversing those cuts. Thanks.
Okay. Mr. McBride, do you need the question repeated?
No, I got it. Thank you. Appreciate that. So first of all, healthcare begins with you. If you look at the difference between the food that we buy here and the same product in Europe, the ingredient list is entirely different. Okay, if you want to start with healthcare, you need to start with our food supply. You have to start with getting the chemicals out of our water and out of our food. Now, when it comes to hospitalization and your medical aspect of healthcare, there's the aspect that with things like the Affordable Care Act, the insurance companies got rich on that, but your premiums went up. Your co-pays went up, but the insurance company is who got most of the money from the government. And that's one of the things that we forget, is that mainly subsidizes the insurance companies. Just to give you an idea, there was a time between 2000 and 2006, I was self-employed. For my family at that time, and I have 5 children from my family, the insurance for my family would have been over $900 a month. That's pre-Affordable Care Act. We had 2 babies via C-section with no insurance, and it was cheaper for me to pay cash for those 2 babies than it would have been for me to have had insurance. So the issue is your insurance is a big part ripping you off. That's what needs to be fixed, so then you can actually afford health care. Thank you. John McBride, running for Congress in CD9.
Okay. Mr. C., do you need me to repeat the question?
Oh, no, I'm fine.
Okay.
The main thing is like medical insurance is very expensive. It's hard to be afforded. The thing is, the government has already, California, they have already collected so much like a tax dollars. They are not using on the right place to be taking care of to bring the price of insurance down, and they are just using for some kind of like a luxury things and giving bonuses and this kind of give away a lot of money, and they don't try to spend money to bring medical insurance down. I know, I heard a lot of hospitals, they are filing a bankruptcy in California.
Okay. Thank you all. Melissa?
Thank you. So I have a question regarding, oh, we have one more. Sorry.
You are missing me.
My apology.
No. See, I have the best plan. I'm going to give it to you. See, you are going to forget. My plan is to give a basic health to everybody. We have 150 diseases, which are the basic diseases, like a throat, you have a fever. For that, we have outdoor clinics. And this is already being done in Canada and other countries. So basic diseases are met by the outdoor clinics. And if you get sick with specialization, then you go to the hospital. What is happening now that most of the people who get sick and they are not taken care of, they end up in emergency rooms where it becomes very expensive to treat the people there. Now, where does the money come from? I tell you, we are giving $3.5 billion to Israel every year. If we save that money, and Congressman has voted to give that money to Israel, $3.5 billion, we can keep it here, take care of people, health care, and take care of the homeless people. Then on top of that, there's a bill pending in the Congress that Israeli soldiers are to be covered under our plan. We'll be paying for their money. Our taxpayer money will be going to pay for their health care. So why can't we keep that money? The congressman has to vote that to keep this money in here. Our taxpayer money is being wasted over the wars, over the people in the other countries. So we should all be getting together to vote to keep the money here. I become a congressman, I'll keep this money here. I promise you. The health care will be free for each one of you.
Thank you. So the racial wealth gap between white and black families now exceeds $240,000, and it's growing. Outside of symbolic gestures, what concrete federal policies in areas such as home ownership, small business lending, workforce development, and reparative investment will you champion to ensure African American families see real, lasting economic gains? And who do you want to start with? Huh?
No, you go ahead.
Oh, well, why don't we start with Mr. Vera? I almost had it. Vera Prokis? I'm working on it.
Thank you. That's a multi-pronged question there. But as far as everything is concerned, as you know, seems to be like the middle class disappeared. And I am middle class, and I believe it's coming back with all the innovations and high-tech jobs that be brought back to America. But it needs to be brought back also to this area. I mean, technology is going to be the one to save us. It's going to make life a lot better for everybody, but we need to be able to bend with the flow. We need to adapt, adjust, and overcome. When I was in the military and I went shore duty to teach for the first time, I had to teach with a mouse. Anybody know what a mouse is on a computer? Yeah, I didn't, but that was 1996. So I had to learn about computers and everything, and I did, and I kept up with all the younger people. So that's what's going to happen. There's going to be opportunities for everybody, but you know what? If you're the type of person that sits down, plays Nintendo all day or whatever, and you want everything handed to you, well, those days are coming to an end. You're going to have to stand up for yourself and go out there and make something of yourself. This is America. You can be anything you want to be. Thank you very much, and I love talking to you people.
At this point in time, we will ask you all to give us a 1-minute closing. No? Okay, so we have a little time. We're a little ahead of schedule.
Only one person asked a question.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Help me, Lord.
So, Mr. Jeffrey. Mr. Jeffrey?
Can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. The racial wealth gap between white and black families now exceeds $240,000, and it's growing. Outside of symbolic gestures, what concrete federal policies in areas such as home ownership, small business lending, workforce development, or reparative investment will you champion to ensure African American families see real, lasting economic gains?
Definitely, I will support that. We should be having the loans, we should be providing loans opportunities to the black people, and should become in par with the white people, because this gap is growing, and it has been growing since for the last 15, 20 years. I've seen in our county also that most of the neighborhoods, people are refusing to rent the house to the black people. In the white neighborhood, if they are there, they leave the place and they discriminate. So we should pass the laws. Discrimination laws are already there, but they are not implemented properly. Because once you go to there are certain courts, and there are discrimination people. They are even in the state of California. I know that. I've championed for some of the people that who have been discriminated in our community, Muslim community also, that we have seen that people have been discriminated, and they have not been, even in my campaign here, I've seen when I go out there, there's a lot of discrimination there. So when I ran for a mayor of Stockton, I saw on the Wilson Way, the white people won't open the door for me. So I have seen that there is a lot of discrimination, and it's growing. With the time, there was a Purdy who gunned down 5 children on a school on the Wilson Way in '95. I was here. I ran for the mayor in '92. So I've seen this discrimination, and it's not ending. It's not coming down. Rather, it's growing.
Time.
Thank you.
Time. Thank you. Mr. McBride, do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I'm good, thank you. So the two biggest factors in poverty are a lack of education, high school education, not graduating from high school, and having children before you get married. Two biggest factors. So you have to address that first. Since I've been here in Stockton, the graduation rate for high school males in Stockton Unified is continually going down. It was 55%, now it's below 45%. That needs to be fixed. How do you fix that? You give parents choice. For example, my wife and I, we sent all our kids to private school. We couldn't afford it. We had one car, our entire marriage. We have 2 cars for the first time in our marriage. We made sacrifices so our kids could have a private school education because we wanted them to have the best education. You should have to do that. You should be able to get vouchers for your education so your kids can graduate from a school that's a quality school, and it will improve the quality of the schools. But without that education, that is the litmus test for poverty. They need that high school education. Then the next thing is to encourage trade school. Everybody mentions technology. IT is going to take over all the technology jobs. We need welders, we need plumbers, we need HVAC people, we need carpenters. Those are the people we're going to need. So they need to be educated and trained. Thank you. John McBride, running for Congress in CD9.
Thank you. Congressman Harder?
I think this is a really important question because the fact is, when families can't actually build wealth, the entire economy is weaker. Wealth is what allows folks to buy a home, syndicate a college, survive a medical bill. There's 2 really important pieces here. One of the things that I'm proudest that we were able to accomplish just a couple years ago is the child tax credit, which helps support every single kid to make sure that you could start building that wealth, which compounds over time, as early as possible. That cut the child poverty rate in San Joaquin County and Stockton in half. In half. Think of all the kids lifted out of poverty because of that measure. Unfortunately, when it ended, The child poverty rate doubled, and that's where it has continued, unfortunately, today. We have to be able to make sure that we're bringing that back, so no matter where you start from, no matter the color of your skin, the zip code that you were born into, you can actually achieve your real potential. The best way to do that is by supporting kids as early as possible, both through education and through that child tax credit. The second is the biggest driver of the racial wealth gap is home ownership. And because of redlining going back decades, it's been really hard for Black and brown families to build that home ownership record across the country. We have to fix that by building more homes and making it affordable to actually own your own home if we're going to have that wealth compound generation after generation.
Time. Thank you. Mr. Singh?
Yeah, please repeat the question, then I will be right answer for you.
Yes. The racial wealth gap between white and Black families now exceeds $240,000, and it's growing. Outside of symbolic gestures, what concrete federal policies in areas such as home ownership, small business lending, workforce development, or reparative investment will you champion to ensure African American families see real, lasting economic gains?
Yeah, you know, we have a big gap right now going on between white and Black, and then those families are suffering. They're hardworking and they are good students, they are good players. We have this country is based on sports. The sports is top sports from Black community that everybody knows. Then the government has to be very closely to develop this community. That way they can have a good jobs, they can have good homes, they can have a good everything, people can then feel like a proud. That's the thing we have to make proud, because those Black community has built this country, and also like a minority people, and also they have built this. We are the backbone of the country. The two community is the backbone. And that's the thing government had to be taking care of that. When the backbone is strong and the country is strong. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Those are the questions for you for this evening. We want to say thank you all for showing up. Thank you all for participating. And thank you all for sharing with us what your philosophy and feeling is as we talk about these issues. At this time, we will give each of you 2 minutes to close out, and we will end this segment of the forum after that. So we can start with Congressman Harder, and you have 2 minutes to give us your closing statement.
Tremendous. Well, thank you all so much for putting on this forum. I know it's a lot of folks, and so it's a lot of ground to cover in a short amount of time. I think ultimately what this race is going to boil down to is how do we actually create a community that's affordable for everybody at a time when we're paying record gas prices because of an unnecessary, expensive war that's costing American lives half a world away and creating no outcomes that are going to benefit the United States. We have to stop this war immediately and lower prices for our community. We also have to make sure that we're attacking prices everywhere else we see them. We have to build more homes and increase home ownership. We have to make sure that we're fighting against the increase on our PG&E bills. I've become one of the biggest critics of PG&E. They've doubled their rates over the last 10 years without any justification. A corporation making $2 billion a year off of our backs. We have to stop the rate hikes and make it affordable to turn on the lights and run your air conditioning once again. But it's not just affordability. I think this race is also about accountability, making sure that at a time when folks are cynical and frustrated at our political system, we have a plan to clean up our politics. I think we've seen, frankly, the most corrupt administration in American history in Washington, D.C. at the moment. The Trump administration, the kids in the Trump administration have taken billions of dollars, foreign countries, and then they've been given positions actually overseeing our diplomatic efforts in some cases. Jared Kushner is still an envoy to the Middle East. At the same time, he's taken billions of dollars from Saudi Arabia. That makes no sense whatsoever. We need a political process that folks can trust. The best way to do that is to make sure that we are actually enforcing the laws we have and sending folks to jail if they break them, regardless of political party. We need to be able to get back to trusting our government once again. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Singh?
Yeah, I want to just want to talk about, you know, the administration is talking about, you know, because the Republican Party is cleaning the big mess that made by Democrats, because they bring all the criminal gangster, like open the border and make a big mess, you know. That's the thing is cleaning. This is now time is things will be coming normal. He's talking about, you know, the things, the other state right now is half pricing on the gas, diesel, and in California is double, triple. And same thing with the housing, with the education, with all kind of, they've made a big mess in trucking industry, they made a big mess in farming, and they made a big mess in small business. They destroy everything in California. That for sure. Everybody can see, now has social media, you can read every second, you know. Then we have to clean this mess to make the, like a country run like a normal. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Look, I'm gonna get it. Varoufakis.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for coming this evening. I appreciate it. I'm just going to share something with you. Somebody said to me when I was campaigning, he said, I don't care if you're Democrat, I don't care if you're Republican, I don't care if you're independent. If you're American, you should be able to vote. If you're American, you should be able to run for office. And that always stuck in the back of my mind. The only time we see these career politicians is when it's election time. After that, they disappear. And the only thing that happens when they do come out, they get us to fight each other, take our money, and disappear again. I'm tired of it. I don't know about you, but I'm voting for change, and I hope you vote for change too. This is our time to vote out these incumbents and make America great again. I'm tired of their excuses. If they aren't doing their job, they're blaming everybody else. They don't deserve to be there. Thank you very much. Vote for Martin Verprosset, District 9 Congressman.
Thank you. Mr. Jeffrey?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I'm really thankful to all of you listening to me. We have issues, very important issues that I'm going to point out. There's not much time that we can. First thing is the ISIS that we are catching people, they are deporting them without, and even people who are born here, they're catching them. And I know a few people, they have been in a detention camp in Bakersfield. I'm working on them to get them the lawyers, the legal fee. They took some of the workers from the farm workers who are working here, legally here, contributing into the working and working the farming community, the restaurant community. The other thing is that our social security is going bankrupt. I'm not scaring you, but if you go on Google, you'll check yourself that in 2030, we won't have enough money to pay out to the most of our people. I'll be gone, I'm 82 years. So I won't be here, but what we have to do is to put more people in working to contribute into the social security. There are more people living longer, so they are more money is being drawn out than to put into the social security. So our politician has to, all of them has to worry about it. So this is one of the biggest, if I get into the Congress, we'll take care of our older people or the people who will be living longer. So then the medical and Medicare, I told you the solution that we should have a basic medicine for everybody. Everybody should be covered with the medical and then the education, we would like to educate our people, should be free education for everybody and compulsory education. So that we educate each and every one of us that nobody is uneducated. So that will bring the discrimination also. Once you get educated, there'll be no more discrimination because education will empower you and bring you more, that you'll be more sensible and more tolerable. And the other things would be that we have like a homeless, social security, and like housing. Hopefully we'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McBride.
Again, I'm John McBride, running for Congress in CD9. I would like to thank Victory and Praise, the NAACP, and Faith in the Valley, and all the media that's here for putting this on. I am a constitutional conservative. I am running to represent we the people, and that's all the people. In college athletics, I was a college strength and conditioning coach. We had athletes, white, black, Asian, you name it. It didn't matter. You had to work with all of them. You had to get the most out of them. You had to be successful as a team. And that's how I look at it, is we're a team. We're all fighting for the same things, and that is greater freedom, greater affordability, being able to pay your bills, being able to raise your children safely, having good health. All of those things are a factor that we're all fighting for. And we need to fight together as one team, not as against each other on different teams. And when we fight together as one team, we'll have a great deal of success if we fight together. Again, John McBride, I'm running for Congress in CD9, and thank you again.
At this time, we would like to thank you all for your participation. And can we give them a big round of applause? And we will, in 4 minutes, start with the next panel. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Congressman. Good to see you.
Take care.
All right. You can stand up a moment and stretch. You know, the mind only absorbs as much as...
Yes, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 5-minute break. There was a lot of information for us to ponder. So please take a 5-minute break and we will begin with our next race. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get started. I hope everyone took an opportunity to stretch their legs and use the restroom and mingle amongst the community. So our next race scheduled was for U.S. Congress District 13. Our policy with Faith of the Valley and some other nonprofit organizations that when we have candidates show up, we thank them, but if there is not at least 2 candidates in the building, we do not continue on with that race. We had 2 candidates confirmed, and Daniel Rodriguez showed up, so we would like to thank him for coming today to spend time with us. And I do hope that he's able to hang out until the end of the forum, and you'll have an opportunity to meet and greet with him individually. But we are going to go ahead and cancel that race today. So the next race and group of candidates that we will be welcoming is for our state assembly members. We are, please help me welcome state assembly members for District number 9. We're going to get our cues one of these days. Okay. Again, we'll have a quick reminder of the rules of the House while State Assembly District 9 candidates prepare to join us on the stage. We will be courteous with one another, and there will be no swearing or foul language used of any kind. Each candidate will have an opening statement of 3 minutes time. Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you. A question and answer period with the moderator. During that time, each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to answer. And then finally, each candidate will have the opportunity to make a 2-minute closing statement. So thank you and welcome candidates for State Assembly District 9.
Good afternoon or evening. You will each have the stated time to do a self-introduction, and we will start on this end of the table, far end. Introduce yourself, and you have 1.5 minutes to give an opening statement. 3 minutes, I'm sorry.
3 minutes for an opening statement? That's really long.
You don't have to take the whole time.
Okay. How's it going, everybody? My name is Brandon Owen. I'm a local resident to Galt, Herald area, if you're familiar with that. I'm running for State Assembly District 9. That's the north end of the district in Sacramento County. I am a father of 3 boys, married for 21 years now in a couple weeks, and a small business owner. I own a Max Muscle Nutrition store in Galt. I also own a real estate company called Edge Real Estate. We have a small family farm in the area, so we do live in the rural area of the Herald. And the reason I'm running is because I want to be your voice. I'd like to bring the fight to Sacramento to represent you. My goal is to take the information that I receive from all the constituents within the district to bring that fight directly to Sacramento to represent the majority and continue to defend the minority while we're doing that. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you having me here, and I also appreciate you guys inviting me to be at this event. Thank you.
Next.
I'm Jim Shoemaker, and I'm also running for Assembly District 9. I got in this race because the gentleman that is currently representing us has not been representing District 9. Seems to be living in Sacramento and taking advantage of other things other than doing what we need to do. So my involvement here is I've lived here for 36 years. I've been involved in the entire district, raised my family here, and have watched our living circumstances just go down the drain. What we need to have is a representation that sees and understands what's going on the ground here in the valley and in the foothills. This district is very large. And the representation from the port of Stockton all the way up into the Valley Springs area and down in Stanislaus and in the Stockton area here is very important. But in that representation, we need to also understand, we need to get the cost of living down. And to do that, we need energy and power that is cost effective for us. We need cheap electricity so we have cheaper food, we have cheaper housing. We can accomplish those things without more regulations, more power from Sacramento overruling us and telling us how to live our lives. We need to bring the freedom back. We need to remember that as an elected official, we take an oath to office, and that is to the Constitution, and that Constitution dictates what we can and cannot do. And we need to go back to that. We need the people to understand they're the authority, not those in Sacramento. So I am here to represent everyone. I'm here to make sure that there's a voice, but also that my phone is available for a call so I know what's going on with each and every individual that has a concern with what government is doing to them today. And we need to work on that to make changes, and we need to work across the aisle so we can bring back common sense into this district. So thank you very much, and we're ready for this evening.
Hello, my name is Matthew Adams. Believe it or not, I'm also running for Assembly District 9. I am a local resident as well. I've lived in this district my entire life. I live in Woodbridge. I'm a teacher and I'm a community organizer. Whether or not I'm running for office, I'd be working with the community. It's something that I do every day for my job, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. I'm also running because our current representative does not represent us. I think you're going to hear that from all of us tonight. You're not going to hear it from him because he's not here. I'm sick and tired of the corporations and the corporate interests running our district and telling our legislator what to do, and him following their beck and call. Enough is enough. I am running because I care about the issues that we all care about. It's too expensive to live in the Central Valley right now. Starting with a place to live, our housing is not affordable. It hasn't been affordable for decades. Higher education is not affordable. People get out of school, and not only are there not jobs that they are ready for, they don't have a place that they can live affordably. If you get sick in our district, healthcare is not as affordable or accessible as it used to be due to a lot of the cuts we've seen from the federal government, and our state needs to step up. Our water issues, our energy issues, these are things that are local interests, and we need a local representative to actually fight for us to do these things and make sure that our community is actually represented in Sacramento, because they're not going to represent us if we don't try. You know, they've been very content ensuring that rural areas in the Central Valley don't get representation. A lot of the legislation that gets passed represents the Bay Area or Southern California. We need to stand up and we need to start speaking. We need to yell, make sure that our issues are actually taken seriously. And I hope that I can do that to represent everybody in this district, the underserved, and really get our assembly back on the map. Thank you.
Hello, and guess what? I'm running for Assembly District 9 too. My name is Tammy Nobriga. I did run in the 2024 election. And the first thing I want to tell you is thank you so much for having us all out here today. We really appreciate the time for everyone that put it together, and also all of you that come out to see what we have to say to help our people in our communities. I'm not a politician. I was called by God Almighty to do this. I was praying to him about how and what I can do to save our children and our future. And one of the biggest things that I think that we need to do is protect our children from child trafficking. And the first thing I will do when I am Assemblywoman, District 9, is pass a law that puts child traffickers in prison for life, no parole, and absolutely that's the first thing I will do. I am God, family, Second Amendment, and America first. I'm standing for the people, not only in my community, because it's very rural and we have farmers that need less regulation. We need to keep our water here. We need to fill our reservoirs. There's a lot of things we need to do. But what happens in California does spread across the whole United States, and that's just seems to be the way it goes. California and New York down. So I'm here to start making common sense laws in Sacramento again and take out the people that are making these laws and regulations that know nothing about any of it. It's time that we, the people, take back California and make it great again. I'm born and raised in California. I know what it was at one time, and I know we can make it back, get back there again. I thank you so much. God bless you all for being here.
Thank you all. So you will now have 3 questions, and you will have 1.5 minutes to answer those questions. And we'll be given notice right here on 30 seconds and 0 seconds. And when it's red, it's red. And that means time. So thank you all, and we will start out with Melissa.
Okay, first question. What does housing stability mean to you, and how will you ensure that individuals and families in your district can access long-term housing, not just short-term solutions? Why don't we start with you? Sorry.
Okay, number one, this is something I came up with about 5 years ago. In our community, we need more rentals. And the problem is the rental pricing in our community is outrageous. So I came up with a plan that gives landlords a tax break on the back end, meaning they can lower the rent for people on the front end and get tax breaks on the back end. So they still make their profits, but the people can actually live and be homed at a price that they can actually afford. What's happening in California is we're the #1 state for welfare. So a lot of people just aren't working. We need to get that number down because we've got 1.1 million people on Social Security, also need housing, and they're on Social Security. They paid into that system, so that should be okay. And honestly, a lot of them have already bought homes and live in their homes that are pretty much paid for. But these people that are coming up that are on assisted living, they don't have the means. So we need to get that number down so that we get them working and we get them in situations to where they can afford to get out on their own and get that home.
Thank you.
And
your time is up.
Live.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Adam.
When we're talking about housing instability, we need to talk about 2 different communities here. There's the currently homeless, and there are those that are struggling to keep the housing that they currently have. For both of them, the first solution is making more affordable housing being built in our district. There's a study done over the last 2 decades that showed over 95% of all new homes being built in San Joaquin County are single-family homes. Single-family homes are great, but they're not very affordable. If we can incentivize companies to build more affordable homes, multifamily homes, apartment buildings, that's an easier path for people to get to affordable housing than buying a house or renting a house, right? But for those that are with no house at all, for those that are homeless, there needs to be a path to housing, right? So shelters are great, and a lot of times, people say, well, if you're homeless and you refuse shelter, then that's just your fault and you want to be homeless forever. A lot of times it's not the case, right? Our shelters are oftentimes not given enough funding to properly take care of the unhoused. A lot of times they are cramped, dirty, they're not the best living circumstances for somebody, so they'd rather take their chances on the street. We need to invest in better shelters for temporary housing, and then invest in ways to have a pathway to housing, to have, when those houses, when those apartments, when those multifamily places are built, we have the people that are ready to go with job training at these centers, so they can continue to afford living in these places long term.
Thank you. Mr. Shoemaker.
First of all, we have to get rid of the regulations out of Sacramento. We need to change CEQA. You can't be building anything without all the regulations and the costs that are impeding the ability to build. We could be building a lot of homes, apartments. We could build all the things that we need to have an abundance. When you have an abundance, you drive the price down. You can't keep subsidizing everybody with other people's money. What we need to do to make affordability is we have to change those regulations. They keep coming up with more and more to add on to the cost of a house to be built. We could be building homes very fast and efficient if we were doing it without government intrusion in it. Right now, to build anything, you're looking at 2-3 years out just to get through a lot of the CEQA rules that are in place right now. That has to change. We have to work on that. They've been working on it, but it needs to be really worked on. And that's what we will be doing. I will work with across the aisle with so many in the legislature, because the only way we can do this is we need to have affordability, but you have to have an abundance to have that. So thank you.
Housing stability begins from the ground up. It begins from construction, the concrete costs, the lumber costs, the cost of getting permits within your local jurisdiction. Right now, we face jurisdictions that do not want to have affordable housing because they want to keep their community small. They don't want to grow. So we need to open the door and the mind to see how we can find more opportunity to take advantage of land within the communities that aren't being utilized. Within my community alone, I know there's about 25 empty spaces that we could easily put fourplexes, triplexes, duplexes on. As a matter of fact, I recently looked into permitting a duplex to build for myself as an investment. What I found was that the permitting process for a duplex was almost 4 times more expensive than a single-family residence. That is a huge problem. That is a huge problem. Affordable housing is a great way to have a talking point, but we need solutions from the ground up. And it starts with construction. It also starts with economy. It starts with employment. We need to give more opportunity to people like my son in the audience, who's 18 years old, and I don't think they'll ever be able to buy a house. We need to give those opportunities to everybody. We need to find solutions to make our housing market more affordable. As a real estate broker, I saw firsthand within the community how much our housing went up during COVID, and it has just gone too high.
Also, we were remiss in announcing we have an audience here that are watching you and here to receive what you have to say, and we're also live streaming it on the Victory and Praise Network, on the Faith in the Valley, and the NAACP. So all of the viewers are not just here, and also the Observer newspaper. Okay, and the record. Oh, I didn't know the record was here. Okay, all right. Good. Okay, next question, and we'll start with you, Mr. Shoemaker. How will you work to advance criminal justice reform at the state level, including issues related to sentencing, policing, accountability, and reentry services?
Well, one, we need to go back to where we actually prosecute criminals. The crime rates that are going on today are just destroying small business and those that are working and taking their livelihoods and being decimated because of the crime. We need to go back to where we have punishment for crime. We need to also respect our law enforcement. but what was brought up earlier, when we're looking at child trafficking and these type of crimes that are going on within these communities, we need to know that there's a process that these people will serve their time, take care of that, so the victims feel there's some justice for them. At the same time, with law enforcement, we need to respect our law enforcement. We need to start training and reminding our children as they go through school to respect the authority. And there has to be accountability there also. And I think that's been coming along pretty well over the years. But the only way we can do this is we need to let the people of our communities know that they're safe, they can walk the streets and be out, and their children are free to roam and not worry about criminals taking advantage of them.
And Ms. Nobrega?
Well, first of all, we have to back the blue. We need to have incentive programs to get more police into our communities. We need more police. That's the first thing we need to do. And if we incentivize them, I think we can do that. We need to get rid of the no bail and make people stand accountable for their crimes. That's all there is to it. If you're soft on crime, they know that they can get away with it, and it's going to keep happening. We need to put our people first and make sure our people are safe. I just visited Texas. I see how law and order works, and I'm telling you, we can do it in California. If we take care of our people before our criminals, then we're going to be in a much better shape. Thank you so much.
Mr. Owen.
As the only candidate on this stage who has actually been a law enforcement officer for 10 years and holds a post certificate, I want to state that we need better training. It starts with training. It starts with community relations. I worked in a department that actually emphasized in training, but I also know many departments don't train enough. And we need to do that because it's extremely important, because it is a lost trade if you don't continuously train. It's important to have body mechanics that are very fluid when it comes to defensive tactics. Any type of officer involved in incident requires training. So we need to improve our training tactics. We also need to have beat cops. I think we truly need to consider what they're doing in other states. In California, we don't utilize beat cops in any way. We could prevent, if not completely do away with a lot of the crime in some of the commercial areas by having a beat cop that is designated for that area within a jurisdiction or within a community that is there 24/7, that they're constantly walking the locations of the commercial businesses and trying to prevent all of the crime just by showing door. And that's a term that's readily used. If you understand law enforcement, showing door is just being present. And that will deter much of our problem. But currently, we need more training and more emphasis on any training.
Okay. And Mr. Adams.
Yeah, well, when it comes to crime, we need to talk about the root causes of crime. Why are these crimes being committed in the first place? Where have we failed our citizens that they are committing these crimes in the first place? A lot of them are impoverished. A lot of them have mental health issues. A lot of them, are driven to commit these crimes because of the problems of society, right? I agree with Mr. Owen. A lot of times our police officers are not trained in the proper way to address a lot of the problems that their community faces. We need more community officers who are trained to go to places without firearms or weapons of any sort, with mental health training to address these issues. Because you have somebody suffering from a mental health episode and a cop shows up and they've been trained your solution is a gun, how's that going to go? There's a lack of trust in a lot of communities for our policing, and violence is a lot of the reason for it. When we have violent criminals, we do need to take them off the streets, and they do need to go to prison, but we also need to work on rehabilitation, We have a prison overcrowding problem in California. We can't house these prisoners forever, and a lot of times, if you've been in prison for a really long time, you become a different person than you were when you came into prison in the first place, right? And we need to acknowledge that. And it's not about being soft on crime, it's about treating people as people, you know? If you treat people as criminals, they're gonna act like criminals. And we need to treat people like people so we can have a healthier society. That's the long-term solution we need to be investing in this state. Thank you.
Okay, and before I pass the mic over to Melissa, earlier I failed to refer to the fact that we address African Americans in these questions because whatever laws are passed or whatever policies are established that are for African Americans are for all Americans, because the country does not make laws that only impact one race of people, and particularly African Americans. So whatever happens to us will eventually happen to every other, or happen for every other group. So I wanted to be sure that I got that in there so you weren't thinking anything any other way. Okay, Melissa?
Okay, so the question is, how will you work to advance criminal justice reform at the state level, including issues related to sentencing, policing accountability, and reentry services?
I think that's the one we just did.
Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the one we just did.
Which one? Okay, I will flip to another question. What is your plan to improve healthcare access and outcomes for African Americans, particularly in areas such as maternal health and mental health services? And we will start with, where did we start before? Mr. Adams?
Yeah, well, when it comes to healthcare, one of the first things we need to address is accessibility. Particularly in this district, there are a lot of places that have to travel quite far to get to a local hospital, at the point where it doesn't even become a local hospital, right? And then the hospitals, when you actually get there, are underfunded, and the people are stretched thin, and again, it comes back to training, who is actually there in the emergency rooms, who is there in the doctor's rooms. A lot of times you get people who are, not particularly well served by the doctors that they see there or the nurses that they see. There's not a lot of representation. It goes back to your education in university. You're trained for a specific type of patient in a lot of these places that is not the patient that's in front of you in a lot of times, right? And we need to address that. A white man is a common person, right? But not every person that is going to be every patient. A lot of women, a lot of black women are just told that they're not believed a lot of times by doctors. That leads to increased pain. That leads to increased fatalities. It leads to all sorts of medical issues that will be addressed if we trained our doctors and our nurses properly. Of course, again, it's not all on them. We need better funding from our state, particularly as the H.R. 1 Big Beautiful Bill cuts are starting to really affect our community. I mean, Lodi Memorial Hospital had to institute a hiring freeze because they have suddenly lost a lot of money that was guaranteed from the federal government, and the state has yet to step up. As an assembly member who's concerned about these issues, we need to make sure that funding is there so people continue to get quality education, continue to get quality health care, and everybody needs to get quality health care. Everybody. Thank you.
Okay. Next, Ms. Nobrega.
Well, I think that everybody, I don't care who you are, deserves health care equally and fairly. It doesn't matter. What's going on with our health care system is that our insurance companies is calling what we should do with our bodies, and that is absolutely insanity. Everybody in this room knows that when you need help, you want to be able to go to any doctor and get the help, no matter who you are and no matter where you live. And insurance companies are telling us what we can and cannot do, and that has to stop now. I will absolutely fight for reform in our insurance company situation as far as making it more competitive, because what's happening is you only have so many and they have the monopoly and they're all just kind of going together and telling us what we can do with our bodies. That started, I'd say, about 40 years ago. And that's got to stop. We need to fight the insurance companies and let them know that it's our bodies, it's our choices, and we're going to be the ones making it, not an insurance company, not a government bureaucrat. It's going to come from the people and our doctors that we choose to go to, not the ones that they send us to. Thank you.
Mr. Where are we at? Owen. Same question.
Could you read the question one more time for me?
Yeah.
What is your plan to improve healthcare access and outcomes for African Americans, particularly in areas such as maternal health and mental health services?
Thank you. So, because we were talking about African Americans specifically in the question, and we want to open opportunity, I think that we also need to think about self-directed care. I think everybody in the community has experienced a time at which they didn't trust or believe in the doctor or the medical care services they were receiving. I talk to people all the time at my store where they're receiving limited care when it comes to hormone issues, limited care when it comes to mental health issues, anxiety problems and things like that. And then a lot of us have access to Google. So what I'd like to see is our physicians actually give us an opportunity to plead our case, and then maybe even side on our case and say, yeah, you know what, maybe you actually know this problem better than I do. Because I think a lot of us are being misdiagnosed, and they're not hearing us, and they don't want to listen to us, and they have standards. And we need to evaluate these standards, because a standard for a 70-year-old man is not the same standard for a 28-year-old man who's having hormonal problems. We need to adjust those standards based off of an age and a character of that person, not just based off of a simple guideline that a lot of our physicians will follow. The other thing that we need to do is we need to figure out a solution for affordable prescriptions. That is a horrible problem that we're facing right now. Now, do I believe in prescriptions? Not 100%, but I think we need to have affordable prescriptions if we're going to have them accessible at all. So, thank you.
Mr. Shoemaker.
The way to help all our communities is to have more doctors and nurses and quit making it so complicated at the universities and how many that they will take in. The state and the AMA has mandated how many doctors they allow, how many nurses they allow. We need to start having the freedom to make those choices of whether you want to become a nurse. I know a number of people that have tried to get into the nursing programs to be part of this, and they are on yearly wait lists to get into the schools. We can have a number of doctors and nurses that would help our communities, and that's where we have to go to. At the same time, we need to quit allowing the pharmaceutical companies to manipulate our entire medical profession. They run everything. Everything's about a drug. Get more drugs. We need to start teaching the people, everybody from school on up, how to be healthy. We have opportunities. Our food is killing us. You know, these are the things that are challenging, that we're all fighting, because the only way the medical profession makes money is as long as we stay sick. And we need to start working on that so all our communities are healthy and live long and can enjoy their grandchildren, their children, and their families. So the way to do that is we got to stop allowing them to manipulate the whole system. So thank you.
At this time, we will thank you all for your participation, for your answering of the questions. I didn't miss anybody on this last one, did I? Okay, so we want to say thank you for participating, and now you will have an opportunity to make your minute-and-a-half closing statement. 2 minutes. We'll start with you, Mr. Shoemaker.
All right. Well, thank you, and thank you so much for this opportunity to present. As a true conservative Republican that believes in the Constitution and the rights of the people, for we the people have to take our government back. I'm also one of the ones that here sitting running against the person that's in office right now that holds the majority of endorsements from a party and also from a Congressman, Tom McClintock. I didn't receive those endorsements lightly. I received those endorsements because even the party's tired of the person that's in office today. And we need a change. We need to advance the cause of our freedom and bring it back to the people. I'm also from every community within this district. I've reached out from the Port of Stockton to the city councils, to the water districts, to every person that has a direct link to the people so that we would be able to know what we need to do the first day we enter office so that we can start working on the changes necessary to bring back the freedom, the cost of living, and drive our ability to be successful and move forward for our children and for our people. So that's where I'm coming from. Shoemaker for Assembly, look me up. We're out there. I'm everywhere in this community because the only way to represent it is so you need to be in it. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss, yeah.
Thank you so much for having us out tonight. I really appreciate your time. I want you to know that I'm stepping up to do this because, like I said, I was called to. I'm in the community. I'm out talking to everyone from Knights Ferry all the way to the Rio Vista Bridge. So I know my community. I know the market. I know how to talk to people, and I know that I am always, always open to have anybody, whether you're in this room or you need to give me a phone call. I am here to work for everybody in the community because I want to help it. I want to help our children, and I want to help our future. I know that I am the right candidate because I am sincerely sent by someone that will guide me. I know that this is something that is near and dear to my heart because children are our future. I know we can take California back. I know we can make it the way it was when I grew up. Beautiful again. Beautiful so people will start coming back and not leaving. Beautiful so that our children are safe and so that we can get good insurance and we don't pay outrageous prices for housing anymore. Let's all together, let's all take it back. I'm Tammy Nobriga. I'm at Tammy, number 4, assembly.org. Thank you so, so much for being here. God bless you all.
Mr. Owens.
Again, I'd like to thank everybody for having me here today. It's a pleasure. I like to say that I respect everybody on this stage for standing up here and trying to face adversity because that's what we need to do. It's time that we all face adversity. My mom immigrated to this country from Portugal. I'm a first-generation citizen of this country. My grandparents worked very, very hard to provide a lifestyle in the farming industry for my family. Something I've never said publicly before, my father is also gay. So when it comes to diversity, I understand that. My niece and nephew are African American, they're half black. So I truly, truly respect diversity when it comes to us coming together, respecting each other as one, and fighting for the cause that matters the most, which is unity. We need unity, we need growth, we need affordability, we need an understanding of everyone's person and everybody's reason, because we all have a purpose. And I'm here to represent you, my community, all of the immigrants that are farm workers, all of the immigrants who are struggling every single day in this community to find a job because jobs are hard to come by right now. And I want to represent the people of District 9 because I want to bring the fight to Sacramento with you, not just for you. Thank you. Vote for Brandon Owen, BrandonOwenCA.com.
Thank you. And last but not least, Mr. Adams.
Thank you. Yes, thank you to everybody who took the time out to be here today, and thank you to all the candidates. We are all here because we care about this district and we want better representation for this district. Our incumbent is not here today because he doesn't care about this district or what any of us have to say about it. He's listening to the corporations and the corporations alone. We are running because we want better. I am running because I'm the Democrat in this race. I'm looking for solutions to all the problems that we are currently facing right now. As a teacher, I talk with families, I talk with students every day, and I know that the future is not looking bright for a lot of our next generation. They're looking at, well, once I graduate, what's going to be there for me? Am I going to be able to afford a house? Am I going to have crippling student debt for the next 2-3 decades of my life? These are problems that are not going to go away unless we tackle them head on with a representative who's really going to approach these things in a serious manner. I've been endorsed by several civil rights organizations, environmental organizations, and the Democratic Party because they've looked at my plans and they view them as serious, real solutions going forward that's going to help our community. If you care about getting better quality, affordable education, come on board. If you want affordable, accessible housing, come on board. If you want health care for everybody that is accessible and affordable, come on board. These are problems we have to face right now, and I hope that as your next Assembly member, I will be trusted enough to address these problems. My website, since we're all giving out our websites, adams4assembly.com. Please check it out. I'll be hanging around. I love this district. I spend a lot of time in this district. As I said at the start, I'd be doing a lot of this work whether I was running for office or not. Before I was a teacher, I was a community organizer working on behalf of a lot of campaigns that failed a lot of people because they made a lot of promises that they didn't follow through on. I make these promises and I fully intend to follow through because I'm going to be here and I care about this community a lot. So thank you so much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Let's give a round of applause to all of the candidates today for State Assembly District 9. Thank you so much. We're going to ask them. Thank you. All right, lots of good information. I hope there's a lot of note-taking going on. I see a couple of keys being stroked, a few pens. But yes, thank you very much to our candidates. Next, our next race will be the State Assembly District 13. So please help me welcome State Assembly District 13 candidates. While they join us, I'd like to thank the Office of the Voter Registrars for coming out tonight. They brought out all kinds of wonderful information and goodies as well. They're here to help you register to vote if you're not registered or need to do an address change or something along those lines. So thank you so very much for joining us today. All right, while the candidates while the candidates get together to join us on stage, we'll do, again, another reminder of tonight's rules. We will be courteous to one another. There will be no swearing or foul language used of any kind. Each candidate will have an opening statement of 3 minutes. A question and answer period with our moderators. During that time, each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to answer the question. Finally, each candidate will have the opportunity for a closing statement of 2 minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the candidates for State Assembly District 13.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. And we're happy to get to this point. We're happy for you all. Thank you for being alive, alert, and sticking with it. We will ask you to introduce yourselves and give a 2-minute, 3-minute self-introduction and what your platform is. Then you will have 1.5 minutes for each question, and then a 2-minute closing statement. Okay, so we'll start to my immediate left.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. I am Assemblymember Rhodesia Ransom. It is an honor to be here tonight, just as it's an honor to represent us in the California State Legislature. For those of you who don't know my background, I've been involved in the community my entire life. For the past 2 decades, you may have been able to see my work where I've stood up whenever our community needed help. If young people were struggling with mental health, we provided services. I started a nonprofit organization that's done that. I've served on civil grand juries that really taught me how government works at the local level and how we really need to support local government. I've served on planning commissions that taught me how local government works and how the decisions that are made at the local level have a huge impact on growth, on community, on housing. I've served on the city's planning commission and the city of Tracy. You may have seen my efforts that led to the first homeless shelter in the city's history. You've seen me stand up to make sure that we are creating local jobs, that we are building education. And as your state legislator, in just 1 year, we have been able to do what legislators should do, which is keep promises. And that's why I'm running for re-election, is because we deserve people to represent us who keep promises and do what they say that they're going to do. I promised people that when I got into the state legislature, I was going to work on affordability and that I was going to make sure that I kept our district top of mind. And I've done just that. In just the 1 year, the first term, not only have we returned over $1 million to constituents in this district, 3,000 constituents here in Stockton, I make it my business to drive home from Sacramento every day to be in our community, to make sure that I'm showing up. In the legislature, I'm passing legislation. I've been able to beat that broadband to make sure that we are lowering the cost of internet services. I've stood up bills to make sure that we are standing up against high-cost utility bills. I've passed bills that have created 1,000 in the Central Valley. I'm making sure that we are saving our agriculture. I don't just serve as an assembly member. I serve as the chair of emergency management. I'm on transportation, making sure that we are fighting to get people to their jobs in the Bay Area. I am on local government, making sure that when we pass laws in Sacramento, we are not doing harm here back at home. I can say, I've been on local government, and that's not going to work for our community. I am serving on the agricultural committee, making sure that the ag industry here is protected, because we are part of making California the 4th largest economy. And I'm just making sure that I'm working for our community. I think I need to save some for the rest of the questions, but just know that in me, you have a legislator that does what she says she's going to do and delivers for the people. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tonight, everyone. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Eliza D. I am a lifelong Californian and have proudly called Stockton my home for the last 20 years. I'm a single mother of 2 beautiful daughters. My family represents the multicultural community that we have here in Stockton. Excuse me. I am also a business owner. I help not only create job opportunities, but also provide a safe space for our youth, our young adults, and our elderly to come and not only work on their fitness, but also their mental health. I have been rooted in this community for a very long time now. I reach the youth, I reach the community through mentoring, through coaching. I've coached and taught at Delta College for 9 years. I stepped away to still work with the youth in helping them develop themselves as not only as athletes, but as entrepreneurs, meaning that our youth sports have taken a big toll in how our young athletes actually contribute to the society now. They are able to access NLIs and different other opportunities, and through sport and teaching at the high school and the college level, I've been able to reach them, speak to them, hear everything that's going on, whether it's in-house, whether it's in education, whether it's with their own personal lives. I've been able to impact the community just based off of sports and volunteering within the community. In my 25th hour, I would say, is that I also volunteer with local nonprofits. I am locally the president of a couple schools in the area that I help represent their booster programs. I maintain their balances for all their sports and clubs in order to gain not only donations and revenue to attend, whether it's their speech debate tournaments or if it's a basketball tournament in Arizona. I've also been able to not only talk to the youth, but I've also had the opportunity to work as a volunteer with our children with disabilities and our adults with disabilities, working with the Department of Rehabilitation and advocating for adults to get back into the workforce. That's one of my main pride and joy of coming out of school, was working with adults with disabilities, because we have a community that we serve with multiple different disabilities, whether it's substance abuse, whether it's actual physical disability. But that's pretty much it.
Okay, so the first question is, if you're in office, maybe you can talk about what you've done or will do. And if you are a candidate, how might you do it if you were in office, if you are elected? So the question is, how will you address inequities in California's education system to ensure African American students have access to quality schools, resources, and opportunities? And why don't we start with Ms. D.
Well, when it comes down to our education system, it definitely comes back to what we're providing and being able to give back to not just our teachers, our admin, our communities. It's based off of results. So when it comes down to serving the African American community, my daughter is half African American, so I do face obstacles with her when it is even to enrolling her into certain programs for school or getting her into school. I've had my own obstacles with dealing with just the lack of resources, or even knowing what we can access, not knowing the opportunities and resources that are there already that we qualify for. That was a hurdle that has been an ongoing thing since I've had my daughter in school. Also to implementing more healthcare resources, like putting a California healthcare worker in there who can evaluate whether it's mental, physical, or emotional distress, and helping these families maintain a healthy living style. So it allows them to not only go to school healthy, feeling good, they're not also too sitting here struggling outside of the education system, trying to figure out resources because they might be sick or ill and don't have resources to stay healthy and educate themselves.
Thank you. Assemblymember Ransom?
I'm sorry, I know it was about African American.
Yeah, absolutely. How will you address, or have you, inequities in California's education system to ensure African American students have access to quality schools, resources, and opportunities?
Thank you. So that's a question. The answer is very near and dear to me. For those of you who've watched my career, you know that I spent about 2 decades working with students in the achievement gap, making sure that we were helping students graduate when Stockton Unified's graduation rate was roughly around 30%, making sure that we had mentorship in mental health in public schools. Now as a legislator, I get the opportunity to really address what's been happening based on the fact that Proposition 209 took away the ability to say, help black students. So right now we have what's called ACA 7. That's something that voters are gonna be able to vote on, to say that if kids are struggling, African American kids, any kids, that we can name them. Right now, we cannot name them. We can name English language learners, we can name immigrants, we can name foster students, we can name homeless students. We can't name black students. I also have a bill that works on the achievement gap that's sponsored by the California School Board Association. We're going to get some transparency on how our investments are helping with new dashboards. I have a new bill in career technical education that the governor has said that he would support, that would give another $150 million to career technical education programs. And so we're working to close the gaps in education, but by addressing the fact that we can't specifically name black students and closing the gap on that, providing career technical education and achievement gap opportunities and investments, that is how we close the gap on failing African American students and lift them up. Thank you.
So we're going to come right back to you. And the question is, the statement is, in the state of California, the state treasurer has money available to invest in black communities for business, housing, the use of black bond managers, and setting up community-based banks. How will you or have you address the issue of 5 to 10% of the treasurer's money being set aside for the African American community?
Thank you for the question. So we haven't specifically, so first of all, I'm one of 12 black members. We're 10%. There's 120 legislators, we're 10%. The California Legislative Black Caucus works with our executive branch on a regular basis about disparities within the African American community. And part of the things that we asked is to ensure that the diversity funds, because there are diversity procurement programs, we do grants all over the state, but ensuring that communities of color are included in that has been part of making sure that we have equitable access and that African Americans are also included. And that goes for, you know, whether it's the Latino community, the African American community, we are always making sure that when it comes to the black community, the Black Caucus is calling the governor, the treasurer, everyone to the table to ensure that any program that has funding has also set aside dollars for the African American community. I think you said something about housing. We want to make sure that programs like the DREAM program, which is a down payment assistance program, is also reaching the black community. And so we're asking to receive data to make sure that, you know, it's just not all the funds are just going to one population versus another. So that's something that we also do, is we ask our executives to bring us the data so that we can ensure that everyone is included in the resources that the state is receiving and putting out. So there's not been a specific 10% ask, but we are asking.
Thank you. Ms. Steve? Can you please repeat the question for me, please?
The statement is the state of California treasurer has 5 to 10% of funds that are available that could be used to assist African Americans in housing, in banking, in bond management, as well as small business. So how will you address that use of the funds to the benefit of the African American community?
That's a great question. As far as the actual topic of the treasurer's funds, I definitely have to get back to you with a little bit more of a better answer, I would say, for you. I'm not going to respond with a half answer. I want to give you a full answer, so I definitely would circle back to that. But as far as implementing any grants, funding that is from the state that we can use as far as the treasurers, it'd be about policy, implementation, and results, data transparency, and actual results on where it's going and how it's affecting the African American community, making sure that there is actual transparency with the funding and seeing the use of it. That would be my short answer. Thank you.
What specific state policies would you support to ensure safe, habitable housing and prevent displacement, particularly in communities facing challenges with corporate ownership, rising costs, and inconsistent code enforcement? So we'll start with you, Ms. D.
I would say that all starts from the ground up. Starting with just construction. We have a lot of limitations we have here just building housing. Our infrastructure in general has struggled because of our limitations to keeping locals working, and working in our projects that we are demanding for these multi-million-dollar projects that we have currently. When we talk about housing, like I said, it goes back to being able to give jobs to the local construction companies, limiting their obstacles that they're facing, whether it's costs, certifications, permits. Those all play a huge role in why our housing spikes are honestly, a lot of it has to do with what we've actually cut off here in California. We've allowed our housing to increase. We've allowed our taxes to raise. We've allowed people to come in and not only make money, but also take money back with them. And it's caused us to look out elsewhere. It's caused people to leave this area and want to find work in living situations that they can afford and that they can go to. And so to address that is starting at the top, starting with construction, working towards limiting cost of living. I mean, we have so many fixed income recipients that don't get the same opportunities.
Thank you. Assemblymember Ransom.
Because I want to make sure I'm answering the right question.
Yes. What specific state policies would you support to ensure safe, habitable housing and prevent displacement, particularly in communities facing challenges with corporate ownership, rising costs, and inconsistent code enforcement?
Okay, thank you. So those are all very different problems, and so they will require lots of different answers. So I'm going to start with the easy one, which is corporate housing, which is a really big problem that we have that's driving the cost of living, where we have big corporations coming in, purchasing up blocks, and then holding them empty because they can afford to, and driving up the cost of housing. So those are policies that even the Association of Realtors agrees with me on this one, that we have to do something about in the state of California. So that's one policy. Another policy, when we look at making sure that we are protecting communities, I will use Palisades as example, where people have been displaced, and we want to make sure that for whatever reason they're displaced, we want them to be able to go back to their communities if they want to, as opposed to allowing, again, folks with money, investors to come in. So we put in policies, you saw, to protect those communities so that people could have an opportunity to rebuild their communities. When it comes to landlords and people not taking care of their property, we cannot stand for people living in inhabitable conditions. And so we have laws that we need to enforce, and we need to make it easier for people to be able to report without being in fear of retaliation for slumlords. And so I have assembly members who've written bills that I am supporting to make sure that if people's living conditions are not proper, then the landlord is responsible for making repairs. And we also have some funding mechanisms.
We want to take this moment to thank our candidates, and now you have 2 minutes to give us your closing statement. And so we'll start over there since we started here.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for the opportunity tonight to come out and speak. Thank you all for being here. In my closing statement, I'd just like to say that being a member of the community, not only living in the system and living through the system, I understand it inside and out of what we're facing on our daily struggles, whether it's transportation, whether it's cost of living, and whether it's feeding our children. I've watched the community not only struggle, but also to have seen the turn of not getting the results that we need. A lot of our community we hear about a lot of things, we know that there's things that are in place, but seeing the results is what I'm sitting up here for, is wanting to not only be a voice to the community, but I'm not showing up to just have a title. I'm gonna be the one that's, oh, you have an event? Let me help you set up. Oh, you have an event? Let me help you break it down. Let me be involved as much as I can to not only help cater your needs, but also to show you that we as a community can only help each other if we actually help each other. And not just showing up and saying that we're here, or showing up or throwing out $1 or $2 here saying, hey, I'm supporting it, and calling it support. There's a lot of things that have been promised or said. I'm watching millions of dollars being passed to nonprofits who don't have tax filings, who are not exempt from California, that don't even they're registered at the Department of Justice. And these are things that are being passed here in our city. And so I'm here to make it clear and let the people know where the results are going and their money. So remember my name, Eliza D., District 13.
Thank you very much. Ms. Ransom, Assemblywoman Ransom.
Yes. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. As I said from the very beginning, for me, this is about doing something for our community. I am a person of action. If I make a promise, I do my best to keep it, and I've done just that. Because of my efforts in the state legislature, not only have we been able to return $1 million to the people here in this community right here, we've been able to help across the state. My efforts led to $870 million being returned in federal assistance dollars, $20 million for local family justice centers. I helped pass a law to protect our children from endangerment. I passed laws to help kids make sure that they get, that they're working with people who have background checks, making sure we save local jobs. I mentioned family justice centers, also strengthening public safety with planning for major events. That's what I've been doing. I have been delivering for the community, not only in Sacramento, but I drive home every single day to make sure that I am showing up for your events, that I am showing up to make sure that people still have that relationship with me, because when I go back to Sacramento, I represent you. I get to stand up and say, that bill that my colleagues in Sacramento want to pass is not going to work for us in the Central Valley. And that is what I do, is I stand in the gap to make sure that we have a voice, and I'm proud of my record of delivering, and I don't have enough time, but please go to the website to take a look at all of the things that I've done to make sure that this community not only has a voice, but is represented in a way that you will feel, in not only in your pocketbook, but in your community. I have 30 seconds, or is that time? Oh, I still got 30 seconds? Okay, well, let me just tell y'all. Right now, I'm fighting as chair of the emergency management. We have the statewide debacle. $500 million has been wasted. The 911 next generation, that is my job. I am now stepping in, providing oversight. I have bipartisan support on every single bill that I have passed, because it's not about just being something there, it's about getting something done, and that means that I'm working with everyone across the aisle to make sure that we are represented and that they understand our needs. Thank you.
All right, let's thank our candidates for joining us today. Everyone, a round of applause for both of the candidates that were here today. Ooh, all this good information. Again, I want to remind everyone that this event was put on by Faith in the Valley, as well as the NAACP and Victory and Praise Church. All are nonpartisan participants. We want to take this time to thank our team in the tech department, working very diligently to keep our microphones going and everything working properly. I want to thank our timekeeper today for keeping us on schedule, as well as our security and our greeters and everyone that put in some work to help bring this event together today. We'd also like to thank our partners at Victory and Praise Church and NAACP, the VIP Social Justice Ministry, and Faith in the Valley, as well as the BWAPA for Stockton and the Tracy branch for coming together to facilitate this event. A big thank you to the audience. Guys, give us a round of applause for showing up today on this Monday evening to get this good information. Again, we would like to encourage you to come and visit our voter registers table here. Again, if you need to make any changes with your voter information, they are able to help you do so, or register to vote. Please, everyone that is eligible, people 16 and up can register to vote and be prepared for when they turn 18. So, so we're going to go ahead and... Oh my goodness, that was an excellent question. Yeah. So Thursday, we encourage you to come out, as well as tell some friends and community that we are hosting the event for our local offices. So we have our County Board of Supervisors, as well as our city council members coming to speak to you all and our friends and family about their idea of how they want to move in these upcoming years. So we can have our sister Tanya come and pray us out today, and then everyone have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to bow our heads for a word of prayer. Father God, we just come to you, Lord, just thanking you once again for instilling in us the information needed, Father God, as we go forward, Lord. Lord, help us take what we've learned here today, Father God, with open hearts and clarity, Father God, and with wisdom, Father God, and discernment to make the decision. Lord, we trust your providence, Father God, so no matter what the outcome of the election, Lord, help us to stand together in unity, purpose, and wisdom, Father God, as we go in the way that you would have us to. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.